to the show. It's canceled. We appreciate you joining us today. I am Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel and Eric Johnson, producer Mike Wilkerson alongside as well. It's a big day for us because we get the chance to tell the story of Chuck Flagg, a man who we had on the program previously, but we didn't have our YouTube and Rumble viewers watching at that point in time. We do today, and we're grateful that Chuck has come into studio because when we first had him, we just scratched the surface of what happened to him, the situation that he didn't ask for, a situation that he was put into, and then being canceled because of what he did, and then now trying to find his life again, whatever normal may be for him following his incident. So this morning, we welcome in Chuck Flagg. Chuck, thanks for taking some time to join us to tell us this story. Please take us back to 2016. You're minding your own business, and somebody tries to steal your car from your driveway.
Sure. Thanks for having me. It was November 4th, 2016. I'll never forget that day. It was 12:48 a.m. in the morning. So I was sleeping. That was a Thursday going into Friday work night. And my ex, she woke me up and said, "Your car alarm's going off." And first instinct was to look out the window, make sure it's my car going off. And second instinct was to get that car alarm turned off as quick as possible, because my biggest worry was making sure it didn't wake up the neighbors. So I grabbed my pistol, just as I always did, because being a CCW holder, I was taught to either carry all the time or not carry at all. And when I went down there, I went to the car, walked up to the car. There was actually two cars in the driveway, and then my garage doors in the front of the car, if you can picture that. So it was kind of like a blocked in scenario. And I walked up to the car and grabbed the handle. And as soon as I grabbed the handle, the car started. And I abruptly jumped back into the fender of the SUV next to me and pointed my gun in the position, or in the direction of the car thief, and yelled for him to stop. And as soon as the car jerked into gear, that's when I took my first shot. And the first shot went through the driver's side window, and it was a hit to the chest of the thief. And I went ahead and as the car started to roll backwards, it went out the driveway and it took off down the street. And I just kind of said some crazy words and just watched my car go down the street. And then it veered to the left off the road, and I watched it dukes a hazard and hit a house. So as soon as that happened, I ran inside thinking that he's going to come get me. Went inside, grabbed more ammo out of my master bedroom closet, went into my daughter's room. And what was crazy was I was immediately in shock. Mm-hmm. So there's certain things you do, like trying to open the chamber on my revolver. I couldn't do that. Just simple things. I couldn't even get it to open to put more ammo in. And then the second thing was I was trying to dial 911 on my iPhone, but it was actually the security keypad. And I just kept hitting 911. And of course, nothing happened. So luckily, my ex was calling 911 on her phone, because she was still, had an idea what was going on. So we got 911 on the call. I waited for them to arrive to the door, and once they arrived, then we went on outside and started to see what happened. So as soon as the police officer came to the door, I said, "Do I need to call a lawyer?" And I'll remember this for the rest of my life. Of course, he said, "You didn't do anything wrong." So what was funny about that was just across, it was a townhome I lived in. So just across the hall, my neighbor was standing at his door, and he said, "Chuck, call a lawyer. Do not talk to them." And I just figured, oh, he said I didn't do anything wrong. Right. So I went on and wrote a statement. And you don't really think about, when you're writing a statement, your viewpoints are not the same as someone else's. So you can write something on paper and it can be looked at 7 different ways, and it can be twisted, and it can be, all different, manipulated. And that's exactly what happened with my story. It became twisted, and pretty soon, I was never charged that night, to kind of jump to that. I was never charged with anything. I was charged 17 days later.
Yeah.
So
that's wild.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And it was, like I said, they don't tell you that you're being charged. It's not a warning. It's not a phone call. There's no email or anything. They just charge you. They have a press conference on TV in my case. So everything was put on all the news channels around St. Louis.
Yeah.
And
is that how you first heard about it? That you were charged?
I heard about it through one of my buddies calling me and saying his wife watched it on TV.
Unbelievable.
And so I called my lawyer that I was using at the time, and he said, no, it's not true. They haven't called me. So my blood pressure went down a little bit, was still high. And I also remember we were cutting crown molding off Warson that day. And I said, let's clean up all the tools because now I'm nervous and I don't want to cut my fingers off. So we cleaned up everything and we jumped in my van, construction van, and we were going down 40. And I remember right when we got up to Mason and 40 was when my lawyer called me back and he said, where are you? And I told him my whereabouts. And he said, get to Clayton. Don't get pulled over. You have warrants out and they're looking for you.
Warrants,
so,
plural, like all kinds of warrants?
I guess it was, I don't know if it's more than one warrant or if it's just one, but either way, I don't know if they issue for just the one charge or 3 for all 3 charges, but either way.
What was going through your head? Were you thinking, because if it were me, I wouldn't be thinking, well, they might charge me with manslaughter and I might only serve a couple of months. I would be thinking I might be going to prison for the rest of my life.
When I was charged and I knew what the charges were, because at that point I still didn't even know the charges. So I was just driving down the highway going, oh my gosh, I didn't, think this was going to happen. I thought I was kind of in the clear, to be honest. And once I was told that I was charged with 2nd-degree murder, it became one of those things like, this is my life. Like, never in my life did I think any of this would happen. You don't think you're ever going to use your gun in self-defense. You don't think you're going to, well, at this point in my life now, I never thought I'd go to prison, which I did go to prison. It's just hard to think this is my life. So, yeah.
So there's a lot of things to kind of unpack and all of that. To me, it's, first of all, I feel like prosecutions, if everybody is innocent until proven guilty, right? That's the standard.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
It's like giving up someone's medical records to me. It's like, you don't know, this between me and the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like I'm the prosecutor, Lomar in this case, and we're just going to keep this between us right now. We're not going to put this out in the public right now. We'll charge you, but you're innocent until proven guilty. And we don't want to get, they always talk about trying this stuff in public, right?
Sure.
And there's always a pressure of the prosecutor really amping everything up because it is in the public. And there's a lot of pissed off people, especially gun rights people and gun advocate people and whatever. It becomes politicized. To me, it feels like, don't you feel like when you get charged with something like this, no one knows about it. There should be no one knowing about this kind of a thing until they get to the bottom of it. Till you have a chance to adjudicate yourself or to get the final charges, because they always come down, whatever it is.
You would think that, but as soon as it's really, when they put it on the news, that's
the point. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as they put it out there, everyone knew before me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that tells you something right there.
Yeah.
So then, and the story they put out there is their view. Like I said, the story gets twisted and tumbled and manipulated into the value or the agenda they have.
Well, it's hard if you don't get to give your side of the story, but then in your situation, you can't give your side of the story because it's a legal case at that point in time.
Exactly. At that point, you don't want to talk to anyone.
And people like to pile on when a story gets out there.
Yes.
I mean, it's for whatever reason, human nature, many humans, not everybody. And I know this, people will jump on and try to kick and scream and tear people down before they have all the facts, before they know the full story, because it makes them feel better. And I'm sorry if you're one of those people, wear it, but you shouldn't, because until you have every detail, you should not be casting judgments and starting to spread false information.
That was a big thing. You got to, everyone was always saying, why would you kill somebody for your car? Well, they don't know that I didn't kill him for my car. That's what they were told on the news. I killed him for self-defense due to, I was put in a situation that it was either me or him. And did he shoot me? No. Did he hit me with a car?
But you didn't know this. And I want to point out to people who don't already know that you had tinted windows on your vehicle.
Yes.
When you went outside, you heard your alarm, you go outside to turn the alarm off, not even thinking anything is going on.
Yeah.
And then you go to reach, I mean, I can't even imagine the split second that this happened. You go to hit the door handle to open your car, and it starts backing out. I can't even imagine in the instantaneous thought you have is I have to protect myself because now I'm stuck between this door and a criminal.
Yeah,
And
and I think she's right about that. And it's like I always want to say our prosecutors are like doctors, they're like lawyers, they're like pilots. They're way smarter than us. They're able to take a step back, analyze the situation, and you are safe from being over prosecuted. I love to feel like that, but I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like the charges that they brought against you and the way that 17 days later they put warrants out for your arrest, instead of handling this is a situation where this wasn't premeditated, it was spontaneous.
Exactly.
It was a grand larceny that was happening right in front of you. There's cars in your way. It's completely an unsafe environment, and maybe there is some kind of prosecution that needs to happen, but it seems like a Lomar or whoever
But
could have
prosecutors have
stepped back.
Yeah, this situation is a tough one to deal
It's
with.
not
It's a very great
Yeah, but
area.
But my issue is prosecutors, because I know a lot of prosecutors and I've
Yeah,
gotten to know
but
them over
Vic-
24 years. I'm just kidding. And I'm not sticking up for any prosecutor in this situation. I'm just saying, in this day and age, just like any public position,
Yeah, but
it is so freaking difficult.
Okay,
There's so
but-
much pressure.
But okay, so he has this scale going on. I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my property. He's
I
in the right.
understand. I
He's in the right.
understand, Chuck.
Now,
I do.
now-
I'm with Chuck.
Somebody that might get those charges thrown against them might be some kid walking into a jewelry store with a pistol pointed at someone, giving me all your jewelry, and maybe a fight ensues, and then bam, the kid accidentally shoots the owner. That seems like what that charge might have been better served for, where yours is not so much that. It's like, you're defending something. Don't you
Well, he was
feel-
defending his life.
I've got an issue
I
with the
just-
officer who told you what they did when you first got there. You don't need to do anything. You didn't do anything
You
wrong.
didn't do anything wrong.
I mean, that's where that whole problem started.
It does seem
I
like you're
remember
not
that,
that you're.
yeah.
It doesn't seem like you're a vigilante, but it
No.
seems like you're the good guy being what is it called? You're being assaulted. You're the
It's-
one
yeah.
being assaulted.
Minding his own business.
Yes, and
And
And let's not forget there were two people there. We haven't covered that yet.
Yeah, there was
actually two people.
yeah,
There was one person in the
that's one
car
Thank you, Tabitha.
and another person
Yeah.
by the end of the driveway, correct?
correct. So, and he was not by the end of the drive. He was actually up the street a little bit. See, I was on the main drag of Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and then I lived on a little private street that was just parallel with it. So I could see every car going by and everything. When I looked out there, I did see that other guy, but we used to have people walk by. It's a
creepy. That is
bike
creepy.
trail,
Dude.
or it's a bike trail or whatever you want to call it, bike path on the side of the road.
It's creepy.
And I did see a face, you just enough of a face to have a little memory. And when I went through, after all this had happened, I started looking people up because I had to become the detective, because I knew there were two guys. And you got to remember the night also, there were 69 officers at the scene. Now this would be
That's a lot of police officers.
coroner, this would be everyone, but there was 69. They had to bring in, I did say there was two people at the very beginning of this, as soon as the police got there. So there was two people. So they had the K9 unit. They brought in O'Fallon K9, Winsfield. Everyone was there. It was, they didn't find anybody, but I knew that there was two. So I did my research and I kept watching Facebook pages and comments and different stuff. And so were my friends, my mom, we were all trying to do our little detective work.
Yeah.
And there was one person pleading out, I lost my best friend, blah, blah, blah. And it was, I get his position. But I looked at his picture and I go, that's the guy.
Did you feel Lomar, or the prosecutor who was fair? Did you say, yeah, okay, I can see what they're saying here? Or were you like, this is ridiculous?
At no point in my mind did I ever think it was fair. Second degree murder, armed criminal action was just a charge.
Armed criminal action.
Yeah.
There's the unbelievable.
The criminal once again wins.
It
in my
is
Now,
opinion.
do you
so
know
true. It's
armed
like
criminal
man.
criminal action, that charge right there is 3 years minimum. You don't get out. You're in 3 years. You know how you get charged on most cases, say you get 10 years,
Yeah.
you end up serving
Yeah.
5 or 3 or whatever it ends up being. But it is 3 years no matter what.
Yeah.
That really scared me.
I
'Cause
mean, you're here. You are sleeping in your bed. It was 12:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Wasn't that correct?
Yeah.
So 12:30 in the morning, you hear your alarm, and all of a sudden your life is in danger because if you don't know what's going to happen.
Man,
If
exactly.
you don't stop this person, they could come into your home. You don't know. They could shoot you, go into your home, harm your children, harm your wife. You have no idea what's
Yeah.
happening.
And my
A
daughter.
split-second decision you have to make.
Yeah.
The criminal wins in every instance. I hate to think that, but they do. And the gray area here, because the Missouri Castle Doctrine,
The criminal died, Tabitha,
yes.
but in general, yes.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about before that point.
I mean, we have people
Before Chuck
commenting
shot
that the
him.
criminal got exactly what the criminal deserved. I mean, we have that
Yeah.
sentiment too.
But Chuck ends up spending time in prison, literally.
Man, it would have been
prison.
so nice if the prosecutor, and I know I'm fixated on this, but it would have been so nice if the prosecutor says, man, you come to St. Charles and you steal things. Man, there's a chance that you're going to get shot because the people out here are conceal and carry. I would recommend you guys don't do this. And they might
But
put
you've heard that from the prosecutor. Now, I still think,
I know, but it's
in
but this is
2006
contradicting
think of all the carjackings that we've had since
Since then.
2016.
a lot.
It has become
It's
mainstream.
an every night
And
thing.
in my humble opinion, people who are protecting their vehicles now are getting more credit and more validity than maybe in 2016.
Not after that
Well,
story.
they've
Not
tried to
after that
pass the
story.
law that you
And
can
but
do
no,
that.
but in 2016, Chuck, give me your opinion. Do you feel as if people actually? Do you feel as if there were many of these kinds of stories or cases in 2016 when yours happened that were making headlines or news?
I honestly wasn't paying attention to him as much
Yeah,
just because I never thought it would
I
be
just
me.
feel
Yeah,
as if
yeah.
your case was at the beginning of what has become a very big media presence when it comes to cars being stolen, car thefts, people vandalizing them, trying to get into them.
Dude, good
And-
point.
and-
Such a good point.
And I feel as if now, if prosecutors were dealing with
Yes.
this situation now, they're handling it a whole different way. I
And
really
I
do.
was definitely
Good.
the poster boy for everything because when anything with a gun involved issue was on the news, they always put my mugshot
Yep,
as
I was just
the
going to say.
guy. So I actually did contact one newscaster one time and I gave her a bunch of pictures from whenever I was in good shape. Said, can you please stop using my mugshot? Because it was just a horrible picture.
Yeah.
And because you always forget to do a clean shave and cut your hair before they take that mugshot.
You know, our society sucks. It just does. It's like exactly like you said. It's like there are circumstances when you put a mugshot on of a certain type of crime.
Mhm.
And I think we could have gone two ways. We could have said, we don't tolerate this crime anymore. It might not be a cop that gets you. It might be a citizen trying to protect his property. We recommend you don't do this. I think that in your situation, we have gone the wrong path. I think that in your situation, we went down like, no, the criminals have the right to. It makes me think there was
Criminals
a
always
friend,
have the right.
a friend of mine was pistol whipped just in Soulard not too long ago. He had a gun in his car. He had a gun in his car.
Soulard in the South St. Louis area, for those who may be listening from a national standpoint.
Yeah, he had a gun in his car, tap on the window, rolled the window down. The guy pulled him out of the car. It makes me wonder, does he use the gun at that point? And if he does the St. Louis prosecutor take it out on him?
Mhm.
You know, what do you do at that? I think we actually need to have a PSA on every
Definitely.
news channel in the city of St. Louis. What are the damn rules?
Well, people
can we do this or
People
not?
need to know the law. Well, then that's why we come back to the Missouri Castle Doctrine, because it's such a fine line with what happened to you.
That means nothing anymore to me because
But it
what they did to
should. Well, that was in the city.
Oh, that's fine, but look, they were drug out in the public square. They were humiliated.
And everything they did was legal.
You know what? The Castle Doctrine means nothing. Okay, we need someone to come out and say, if X happens, you can use lethal force. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
So
with
it takes that oldness off of him and off the Markowskis.
But it does mean something because Governor Parson actually said he would pardon the McCloskeys
Okay, but
in this situation because everything they did was
But do you really want to go
legal.
through that? It's like if X happens, just like him, if X happens, you have the right to take a shot at him to protect your property.
The Missouri Castle Doctrine does not allow you to shoot someone because they're stealing your vehicle. They tried
Correct.
to pass that law,
And it's still
and
not
it didn't
passed.
pass.
Okay,
How does that make you
it's
feel, Chuck?
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Because
I
I'm
really
sure
wish
you're aware
that-
with the rule.
I'm sure there's quite a few people that have been put in situations where they can't take the shot or they end up in a different scenario than me as in the outcome. Yeah, it makes me mad because it's it makes me the criminal, where most people have said I'm the victim. The victim, they made the thief out to be the victim, which he was 31 years old. So 31, I usually would say someone knows they're old enough to know better. And then he had 25 convictions and 14 felonies in a 6-year period. I was told, now I don't know that this is a fact, that he was supposed to be in prison at the time due to violations on probation.
Right. So we can take it out on the prosecutor or the judge that let him out and say, this is your fault. You're the one responsible.
A lot of
for
branches
this.
coming off this tree.
Yeah.
If
you would have had him in the system, he wouldn't have had to fire his weapon at him. Everyone would have been safe. To me, this is your fault, judge or prosecutor or whoever let him out of the damn jail.
And I felt, and trust me, so many things go through my mind where it's prosecutors or probation officers, whatever, that weren't doing their job that time. And I got charged with something. I feel like the charge should be shared between all of us. You know, if I'm getting charged for protecting myself, I wouldn't have had to protect myself if they were doing their jobs properly.
If you're walking down Washington Avenue at 11 o'clock at night with your kids, and you shouldn't be doing that, by the way, Washington Avenue is here in St. Louis. And let's say thugs, I don't even know a better word for that, but thugs. And they want your purse, Tabitha. They want your purse. It's 11 o'clock at night, and you happen to have a couple bags of shopping from the day. They just want them. Do you give them, or what
I would give it to them,
and
yes.
you have a Glock 9 in your pocket.
But that would be different than Chuck's situation. I mean, Chuck feared for his life. If somebody's just trying to steal my shopping bags, yes, I'm going to give them to him. But it's a different situation being trapped in your driveway.
Yeah.
You know, not especially you were startled because you didn't expect someone to be there. And I think being startled and all this happening within such a short, just a couple seconds is such a big difference.
Alarm
in
goes
the middle of
off.
the night, and you're
windows
seeing some guy.
tinted.
Yeah.
You see another person close by. The car starts to take off backwards after you just hit the handle. As a human, think about that. All those things, all of a sudden, in the middle of I'm going to handle it perfectly this way and that way every single time.
Right.
BS.
Yeah.
Absolute BS until you're in that situation.
And your story is not. I run that story in my mind all the time at my house. I do.
Yeah.
I always think to myself, because when it's midnight and a car kind of drives slowly past and you hear from the mayor of your municipality, hey, people have been breaking into garages a lot lately. Make sure everything is locked up. You don't want to see an email like that come in from your mayor. You're basically, you've now put the fear of late night activity in your mind, right? So everyone I know is like, okay, make sure your garages and your cars are locked up. Make sure there's no weapons that are out in public. So I do run that scenario. What if criminals come and try to break into my house or my garage? What do you do? And you have a gun.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
And you have a gun. It's almost like the perfect storm. It's like a guy with a conceal and carry now has a reason to have the conceal and carry. Their cars are getting stolen. What do you do?
Time to take care of business.
Yeah.
And even at the same time, that comes back to, are you protecting your items or are you protecting yourself?
You were protecting yourself.
I was definitely
clearly.
protecting myself.
But you've heard it your whole life. If someone comes in your house, they're all yours. Let the dogs out. Let the dogs out and make sure you have all of your weapons loaded.
In Missouri, if they come onto your property, into your yard, and you feel threatened, you have the right to shoot somebody. The only difference with this is that if they weren't inside that vehicle, it would have been a whole different story. Yeah. But because they were inside of a vehicle, the Missouri Castle Doctrine didn't apply. Had they been standing in your driveway, you would have been perfectly legal.
There's another. Go ahead, Chuck. I was
going to say, and this was a big thing too, is I made a statement that night. And the statement was
that's another thing.
Was without a lawyer, and it was also
not a shame.
12:48 when it happened, about 1:30 to 2 when we went to the police station, about 3:30 to 4:30 when the detective actually came for the statement, and I was delirious and in shock. And when you are in shock, you don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest. That's exactly the reason why when you see an officer involved shooting, they take that officer off the scene immediately and don't let him talk to anyone. And then their lawyer steps in and talks with them and gets the story.
Yeah, once it gets into that system, it feels like it's a game. The prosecutor wants to win and the defense guy wants to win, and it's at your expense.
But here's the issue with that too, Eric.
Yeah.
You haven't talked about your attorney yet.
No.
Or the sentence that you got. If
Or
you could
the
let it
aftermath.
because you could have been, first of all, you had to go to prison, which blows a lot of people's minds, but you didn't have to go for the period that the prosecution wanted. So I'm sure you were happy with your attorney. And then what happened when you were in prison?
I was happy with my attorney the whole time. He did a great job.
Scott Rosenblum,
Scott
correct?
Rosenblum, yes.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, he did a great job. It comes down to plea deals and plea bargain. You know, they're going back for, I remember a 5-year plea. They wanted me to do 5 years in prison, which I said I didn't do anything wrong. There's no way I'm going to prison. Once it came down to, they offered me 120 days, then you start looking at, I think one of the highest charges would have been 20 years for second-degree murder, if I remember right. And you're thinking to yourself, do I want to do 20 years? If I can take 120 days, I'm not guilty still, but I could be done with this. In your head at that point, you're thinking you could be done with this, even though you become a felon and a lot of happens after, you know.
You know
felon,
that's the win
always a
for
felon.
both. They didn't want you to be convicted of murder in second degree.
Oh, they probably did want it.
They didn't want that. But I think that unfortunately St. Charles might be just as vulnerable to political backlash if something wouldn't have happened anyway. And what did the prosecutor say? They didn't want the Wild West out here in St. Charles.
We can't let this become the Wild West where you just go around shooting people. And it wasn't the way he said that, is that I was just going around shooting people, which, you know,
they were making an example out of you is all that was.
It does.
It was
I still think
example.
I still think this is handled differently in 2022. I really do.
For the worse or
things
for
are
the better?
No, for the better for Chuck. I do, even
I'm
though
with you on that.
even though the vehicle is still not part of the Castle doctrine, the Castle law, I still think somehow, some way, Chuck comes out where he doesn't do a day in prison.
If it happened today.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You were in prison, and we knew just from your story, you had to complete a drug and alcohol.
And you were
class,
not,
and you weren't even
exactly.
an alcohol drinker or drug user.
Yeah, so I took the plea for 120 days, shock treatment, which I had no idea what shock. I still don't even know what shock treatment is, but they put you. I was in a diagnostics where you just are kind of with the guys. It's more low charges, drug charges. There were some guys that shot people. There was a little bit. There's still some, you know, decent charges in there, but my charge was probably the worst charge in there. You get put in with those guys, and I was in there for, I want to say 54 days. And all of a sudden I get a letter saying that I needed to go to the office for my I'm getting transported. And I was like, oh, this isn't part of the deal. So I got sent to St. Joe, Missouri, which was a drug and alcohol treatment center. And I got bussed there, which that was a nice cold ride in a jumpsuit. But and you wear your hands in a box and all that. You're just like the movies. And got there, and first day you wake up, you go to class with a counselor, and everyone stands up that's new and says their name and says what their addiction problem is. So I stood up and said flag, and she said, what's your drug of choice? I said, I don't do drugs. So she immediately said, well, you're an alcoholic. And I said, I've never drank in my life. So she called me a liar and told me to sit down. So I sat down, and I was like, okay, you know, I guess I'm an alcoholic then. But she finally called everyone that was in the Fulton camp that knew me in and said, what's up with Flag? And they all spoke good of me. They said, this guy shouldn't even be here.
Yeah.
He actually shot a guy that had been through this treatment twice, which shows that the treatment doesn't really work. It's a fake it to make it. And what's sad about the program is, from what I hear, is every inmate that makes it through that, the state is paid by the federal government. So it's kind of a little business going on. And I wish if they had a program like that, the guys would actually get some benefits from it and hopefully get rid of their addiction, or at least would take it serious.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot more seriousness to it. So not to get off subject on that, because that's a whole nother thing. Like, but so I went through this whole program, and it was a fake it to make it program. Once the counselor knew that I was not an alcoholic or a drug addict, she called in and apologized to me. Actually, two counselors did. And then they wanted to know my story because they both concealed carried and they wanted to know what not to do.
Damn.
Well, yeah, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time left. I hope we can touch base on the aftermath
Sure.
because here you've killed someone, you've taken a life that has to weigh on your mind, even though you did it in self-defense.
Sure.
I'm sure there are days you play it through your head where you think, what could I have done differently? And, we all go, you didn't do anything wrong, of course, but now you're a felon. You're not allowed to vote.
You know what though?
You're a murderer to people who don't know you.
He can make a lot of money off of this though.
No,
Yes.
but
He could parlay this into
Yes,
a
he
lot
could.
of knowledge.
And
and
you
not
should.
just for money purposes, but to help
for
and
money.
teach people.
Seriously, for money.
And he needs no. That's
do it
first
for
of all.
money.
The second part is the money goes along with it.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee life has not been easy since you got out of
No.
prison.
It hasn't been easy.
Would a pardon help?
A pardon would definitely help. That's what I've been aiming for since day one. Now I did, since we last spoke, I printed off the paperwork, I filled it out. I'm going to turn it in. It's a 10-year from now. I heard this is a 10-year process. Now I don't know if that's true or not. There's no one really to talk to. I need to reach out.
You can talk to him.
someone.
He's had lunch in the governor's mansion.
Oh, well, Vic.
There you go, Vic.
Vic,
I-
what do you know about pardons, Vic?
Yeah. I know parson. I don't know pardon.
Yeah.
However, I know how to get your information to the right people
Sure.
when it comes to that.
Dude,
Now,
this is such a
I
Missouri
don't know
story.
the process, but I do know there are
Yeah.
there are bureaucratic ways and steps and things that you have to follow all the time. I don't know about pardons, but I can tell you this. We know the people to get your information in front of Governor Parson.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Or the other issue is depending upon how long it takes and the amount of time that he has in office. But
Man, I tell you
you've
what,
got to do your part. You're doing your part to get the paperwork
for
done.
sure.
Yeah.
I tell you what. And let me just be
I can think of people that I've done stories on in the past in my local news career who have received pardons for doing far worse than what you did.
So this would be good
That's
for
a
Mike
fact.
to sign. This would be good for Mike to sign. I'll tell you why. Politically, it works in Missouri. Okay. There's no downside to this thing. Number two, it shows Missouri is not going to be hamstrung by criminals. The criminal, you come and do a thing, well, I'm going to pardon you. Okay. Maybe this isn't the process that you should have gone through. But if he does pardon you, there's not a lot of downside to this for him, for anybody.
For him, but what about Chuck?
But then he's not a felon
I'm worried
anymore.
about what Chuck's dealing with right now and what he has to go through. I mean, yes, I absolutely do think you need to write a book, but
Life
just
has been a little different for me.
but it makes me sick to think that you have to deal with everything else that's gone in your life since then.
Yeah,
Well,
it
you
makes
got to
me-
think too. I was self-employed when this happened. I closed my business down due to being in the construction business. When you're going in and out of people's homes, they kind of want to check out. A lot of people will check to see what that contractor, if he has a background or whatever. If it says involuntary manslaughter, they don't know the reason. Most people are going to think DWI or what, different things. And then they're just not going to hire you. They're going to think you're a felon. They don't want a felon in their house. I've had several people that have just been like, you're a felon. And they can't believe that because once you're totally stereotyped, then you can't get a place to live in. You can't get a job. There's just several different things. Dating.
I was just going to mention that. Could you imagine going on a date and explaining to someone, well, I'm a convicted murderer. I spent time in prison.
I was dating for the last couple of years, and that's one of the first things you have to. Well, that's one of the first things I would tell because you don't want to come off as a liar. Once you hide something from someone, then you're a liar.
I
So-
can tell you this much though. Yeah, you don't hide it, but I promise you, if you're not with somebody, there would be people who understand. I promise you.
Yeah, you won't be
they-
going out with anybody from Webster Groves, I would imagine. But
Oh my
St. Charles,
God.
you'll have your pick of the list.
I'm sure the rest of the country, if they're listening, understands Webster
Yeah,
Groves with
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
or walking into a bar. I mean, when you go,
Kirkwood, you're
I
out.
can't go in bars.
you cannot go
You
in bars.
cannot go in bars if they serve more. And of course, because I don't. drink.
Damn.
Is that because you're felon
Damn.
status?
Because I'm on probation.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
anything that serves more alcohol than food, it's kind of that situation. I guess.
With
you know.
so
Maybe
many
we have-
factors
I
that
know.
continue on
I
and on
can't
and
go
on
to
in life.
paintball. I can't do a lot of
We
different.
could-
and you
find-
can't have a firearm. You
I
can't
cannot
own a
have a
weapon.
firearm in my possession. So yeah,
We could
Wow.
we could start a website, Second Amendment dating.
Oh my gosh.
So you can't go. So you. Oh my God! I
Come
can't
on,
believe you
Vic,
just-
follow that.
I can't believe
follow
you just
that,
said
Vic.
that.
Follow that, Vic.
So so you can't go to any bar.
as
Not
long
if
as they
they-
have
yeah.
food,
So you can come to our kickoff party for this show.
Yeah.
I can definitely.
You
come
better
to that.
be there because
Yeah.
you're invited.
Yeah.
I want you to be there.
What time is that and where is
At
that?
Winter.
Well, it all depends on your schedule, Eric, your rock star schedule. You can't make any of these on
What
plan.
about Thursday? Can we do it Thursday over there?
Ah,
Come on, man.
We'll see. Well,
Come
it is
on,
Friday
man.
Eve. Chuck, when you sit back from an emotional standpoint, because you and I have talked, and some of the times when you talk, I asked you some questions, and some of the times you tear up
For sure.
when you start talking
So you're
about
gonna
it.
do this again right now?
Well, I'm not trying to do anything
Sure.
or not trying to do anything. But my God, what you've been through when you sit here and you have a chance to talk to us for the first time. This is the first time you've ever talked about this to any outlet, any broadcasting outlet.
Yes.
Who are you as a person after going through all of this? What goes through your mind on a daily basis? Can anybody understand the emotions, the pain, the suffering that you went through, and in some senses, I think still goes on.
Sure.
And it's all right to show emotion.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a softie anyway. So but no, it's changed life for not only me, it's changed life for my ex-in-laws, it's changed life for my mom, my dad, my sister. And I can't say much about my sister because she'll get mad at me. But anyways, they don't want it, my sister with her job, she doesn't want to say that she knows me because
Of course.
anybody, you never know. So my mom, she of course is proud of me. So she's glad I'm here.
I bet she is.
I see so many opportunities for you, really. You are firsthand knowledge of this whole scenario, and you could develop relationships with the local police department.
Oh, yeah.
You could develop relationships with the local mayors. You could develop relationships with TV stations. You could be an advocate for what to do and what, the Second Amendment laws actually mean. I just see you have a lot of opportunity. You've answered a lot of questions that a lot of us have about late night at your house. So I hope you parlay that, man. I really
did have a decent relationship, and I still do, with Chief from Lake St. Louis, Chief Chris. We actually went to the same church together and everything. So
what did he say? When did you say, did I do something wrong? Did Giuseppe, did he say something like, you don't have to say it on the air, I guess.
No, I went to his office and I did ask him, I said, what do you think happened that night? I just want your view. He actually gave me his view.
Okay.
And it was not what happened that night. So I told him what happened.
Wow. Okay.
And he was I could feel he was a little more on my side with my story.
Okay.
So it changed a whole bunch, but it was already too late.
Well, could you have used Giuseppe or someone like that to say, yeah, you guys went way too far? I mean, did the cops, because it was in Lake St. Louis, correct?
It was in Lake St. Louis, yeah.
So
he was the chief.
Could Giuseppe have gone and said, no, I don't know? I mean, he was the one that wrote the report ultimately, right?
I think actually someone else did under him, but I don't know how, the outcome of all that, who does what there. I know it was a certain detective or whatever that went in on that.
Right. Cool.
But
Giuseppe's a fair-minded person. He is.
He is. I really hope you write a book.
Is there anything else you wanted to say before we let you go here?
Well, I would say if anyone ever has any questions or anything about anything, to contact me. I'm happy to answer questions.
Yes.
How can people contact you?
You can contact me on Instagram. It's CFlag. Just message me on there.
CFlag, CFLAGG, CFlag.
Correct.
CFlag. If anybody has any ideas, maybe to help you from your pardon standpoint, maybe for this business that Eric is talking. Well, you know what? The boys, our friend Josh at K-Build might be a little upset if it takes time away, because K-Build absolutely rocks, and Chuck rocks for K-Build. By the way, K-Build built our studio, and that's just indebted to those guys. Love those guys. Or any other information, maybe just support.
Yeah. Feel free, and you can email me at flaggcon@gmail. That's another contact there.
Love it.
And I'd be happy to talk to anybody about anything.
Do you feel better getting a chance to talk about this?
Always do.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is actually, I think I've told probably so many people that didn't even want to know my story. I've told my story. And I think that's my way of coping with it. It's just kind of opening up. I've never, it's just
you're not
kind of a daily thing.
Some dumbass thug jumping into Walmart and ransacking the place. That's not.
No,
you
I've
are
always felt I was
exactly
a normal guy.
You're the opposite of that, man. And you, I feel like you've been abused by our political system. That's how I feel. And the other sad thing, we love our cops. Blue line all day long, military here.
100%.
Do not say a damn thing to any police officer if you are embroiled in this kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's
It
the one
will
thing
kick you in the ass.
I was taught from one of my friends from high school. That's an officer. He said, "Do not talk to us. We are not your friend.
Yeah.
Always talk to a lawyer first. Have a lawyer on scene."
Yeah, I think they'll understand that.
Chuck, thanks again for sharing your story
Thank
here
you.
with us, buddy. We have that copy. We'll be getting it out. People can check it out on cancelthisshow.com. We're going to get it there with the rest of the content that we have here. And of course, keep us posted on anything that's happening with your life. Chuck Flagg, we appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks,
Thank you.
man.
Next time I'll come back whenever I get that pardon. We'll go over that.
Yeah,
Oh,
call Mike right
Keep in
now.
touch. You get it. Well,
Thanks so much, though. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Chad. We appreciate it, Chuck Flagg. We certainly hope everybody enjoyed that interview with Chuck coming on and talking to us. Just so
Makes your blood
emotional.
boil a little bit.
Can you repeat your
Well,
email address one more time for people who are
email
asking?
address is F as in Frank, LAGGCON @gmail.com.
Excellent.
All right, we will. You know what? We'll take a really quick break. Eric, don't get lost. No more coffee, right?
What?
I know, or just a quick coffee.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have got a professor from Cardinal Ritter Prep in St. Louis City who is going to try to take $100 from Eric when it comes to some political issues. Eric on a lot of the things that we learn in life when it comes to politics. We'll get to that right after this. It's Cancel This. Producer Mike Wilkerson's here. Tabitha Hassel, Eric Johnson. I'm Vic Faust. Thanks again. Chuck Flagg, don't go anywhere. Coming right back. Mark Kaysen from Cardinal Ritter to help educate Eric. We'll be back with more right after this. It's Cancel This.
Stop throwing your advertising dollars into the fiery pit of no return on investment. Start putting your ads and money into a focused, vibrant, and growing audience interested in the truth and getting the whole picture, rather than the one that's shoveled to us. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do this and more are available at our website, cancelthisshow.com. CancelThisShow.com is on the hunt for amazing advertisers, just like you. Ready to help us share stories of success that come from people, businesses, organizations, and efforts that have been canceled? Connect with us now to learn how you and your business can benefit from a growing, vibrant, focused, truth-interested audience. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do all of this and more are at our website, cancelthisshow.com. As time goes by, money is only going to get tighter. Don't you think it's time to start advertising to an audience interested in learning the truth about what's going on in today's modern media circus? Connect with us now to learn how you and your business can benefit from a growing, focused, truth-interested audience. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do all of this and more are available at our website, cancelthisshow.com. Stop throwing your advertising dollars into the fiery pit of no return on investment. Start putting your ads and money into a focused, vibrant, and growing audience interested in the truth and getting the whole picture, rather than the one that's shoveled to us. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do this and more are available at our website, cancelthisshow.com. CancelThisShow.com is on the hunt for amazing advertisers just like you. Ready to help us share stories of success that come from people, businesses, organizations, and efforts that have been canceled? Connect with us now to learn how you and your business can benefit from a growing, vibrant, focused, truth-interested audience. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do all of this and more are at our website, cancelthisshow.com. As time goes by, money is only going to get tighter. Don't you think it's time to start advertising to an audience interested in learning the truth about what's going on in today's modern media circus? Connect with us now to learn how you and your business can benefit from a growing, focused, truth-interested audience. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do all of this and more are available at our website, cancelthisshow.com. Stop throwing your advertising dollars into the fiery pit of no return on investment. Start putting your ads and money into a focused, vibrant, and growing audience interested in the truth and getting the whole picture, rather than the one that's shoveled to us. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do this and more are available at our website, cancelthisshow.com. CancelThisShow.com is on the hunt for amazing advertisers just like you. Ready to help us share stories of success that come from people, businesses, organizations, and efforts that have been canceled? Connect with us now to learn how you and your business can benefit from a growing, vibrant, focused, truth-interested audience. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do all of this and more are at our website, cancelthisshow.com. As time goes by, money is only going to get tighter. Don't you think it's time to start advertising to an audience interested in learning the truth about what's going on in today's modern media circus? Connect with us now to learn how you and your business can benefit from a growing, focused, truth-interested audience. Become a Cancel This advertiser today. The links to do all of this and more are available at our website, cancelthisshow.com. Stop throwing your advertising dollars into the fiery pit of no return on investment. Start putting your ads and money into a focused, vibrant, and growing audience interested in the truth and getting the whole picture, rather than the one that's shown.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show with Cancel This. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel. And Eric Johnson, we're rocking and rolling on this Thursday, December 8th. Thanks again for Chuck Flagg joining us. We had him in, of course, last week, and he gave us a story. We didn't have Rumble on site. We didn't have YouTube at that day, but now we did have that opportunity to do that. So we are talking all things on this show when it comes to news commentary, political headlines, those who have been canceled, and we are going to get another guest in. Mike, I'm going to need a new link, buddy. The link that I have does not work. So if you could do me a favor, I'll go ahead and text you that number and we'll go from there. Eric, you're still feeling, I can tell you're still feeling the effects of the interview with Chuck Flagg.
I am. I think about that stuff all the time. I don't own a gun, so don't come to my house and try to rob me. I'll sick my Pomeranians on you.
You probably shouldn't tell anyone that.
No, why? I'm not ashamed of it. It's just I don't roll with guns, but I don't see anything wrong with people who do want to roll with guns. You know what I mean? And if you have a gun and it's on your person, I think that there's something in those people's minds that's like, I'm ready to use this thing on a moment's notice. You know what I mean?
You have to be ready. You know, in Chuck's story, it could be any of us. To me, that's why it's so touching. It could be any of us.
Yeah. Any
of us could come up to that situation if you own a weapon, that is. But the opposite of that, Eric, if you don't have a weapon and you're in Chuck's situation, the criminal may get to you before you can get them. Yes.
And you don't want to be gotten, especially you.
You don't want to be
super
gotten.
Short and you don't run very fast.
Hey, I'm not that short.
One of the updates that we were talking about too, Brittany Griner started a show, was breaking news. She's on her way back to America. The United States traded a convicted arms dealer, Russian convicted arms dealer, for Brittany Griner. So she'll be home for the holidays. We'll continue to see what happens with that whole story. Marijuana Day, legal, or at least the purchase. It's recreational marijuana is now officially legal in Missouri, but you can't buy it yet. You can buy it without a medical marijuana card, but you have to apply for a license to do that, I believe, is what the case is with that. So we're following that story as well. We're also working on our kickoff party at our official sports bar, Wenty's. As soon as Eric gives us a date that works, you cannot tell me you're booked every Friday.
I would
Saturday.
Have to say, no. Well, I am. Tis the season. It's
the holiday season.
I got to be honest with you. A Thursday would be much more doable.
Do you play every Friday and Saturday?
I don't know. I wake up on Saturday and I check my messages. Am I playing anywhere? I'm playing tonight at the factory here in
I didn't say Louis. At the factory in Chesterfield.
Yeah,
nice.
Chesterfield. So that'll be kind of fun.
Well, that works. That's really nice.
Well, let's do if it's all possible. And if you're listening here, if we could do a Tuesday through Thursday somewhere, I'm in. You don't even have to count.
No, we don't need you. You don't have to be.
So now we have to move it to a Thursday.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
All holiday parties. No holiday parties happen on a Friday or a Saturday.
Yes, they do.
No.
Yes, they do.
Never do.
Oh my gosh.
Well, people might want to imbibe a little and not have to get up and go to work in the morning.
Yeah, at the end of the month in December, you can take liberties with your early mornings.
We'll check into it. By the way, this is Cancel This. You can check out all of our show content, our original content on cancelthisshow.com. Once again, cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Tabitha Hassel and Eric Johnson. We would now welcome in a guest. We have got Mr. Mark Kaysen. He is a respected longtime teacher, professor at Cardinal Ritter Prep. Mark, we appreciate you coming in today. We are hoping and praying that you can convince Eric and change his mind and take one of his $100 bills that he gives to people on specific issues when it comes to, I guess, let's just say societal issues, whether somebody may be leaning liberal or conservative on an issue. So we are bringing him in just a second. We lost Mark. We don't have Mark Shot there. Mike, if you can take care of that when you get a chance.
It looked like something that he did on his end.
Well, we're going to have to get him back.
On his end. Okay, well, we'll get him back in. We were just getting ready to.
He was like, did you like $100?
Did you like my setup for that, Eric?
I thought it was fantastic. Let's get something straight. This is not, hold on. This is not an award. This is a prize that I am giving away. This is something I want to pay somebody. I want somebody to have this because it means that they made me go, wow, I've been thinking about this all wrong. That's what this is. This is not like a panelist saying, yep, this guy won the debate. It's not a debate. This is a gift is the way I see it. This is your gift to you for me to say thank you. Now my third eye
But
is
you
open.
two are going to be on the same side. So
Who are the two?
Eric
What are you
Eric
talking
and
about?
who?
What
and
are you
our
talking about?
guest.
What do you mean they're going to be on the same side?
I think they're on the same side.
I think we need to do this.
What the heck are you
I
talking
don't know.
Do
about?
whatever you want. Just, I'm on the air. So just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
we got
anybody
Mark.
comes in, you got to tell them I am.
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Hi, Mark. How are you? We'd love to see your shot. We hear you, but we don't see you right now. I don't know if
coming.
something happened on your laptop issue.
That's all right. I don't care. We can bring the video. Can you hear us okay? Mark, are you there?
I am here. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear
Yes.
you, Mark. We'd love to see you as well. We had you
Well,
for a second.
exactly. I mean,
I guess the service on your end, it sounds like a bad cell phone call. We appreciate you trying, Mark. That's for sure.
Just call in, heck.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at that point, right? If
yeah.
you
See,
can-
the other thing is I tried going in on my computer, which
Yeah.
should work.
Yes.
So let's get off of here. I'll go in on my computer. Let's see if that works.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We love to see you, Mark. Mark is
Look.
Mark Kaysen from Cardinal Ritter Prep.
This
we
show
appreciate him
is
coming
like
through.
PRL.
And
This show
we're
is
going-
exactly like PRL.
We-
It's a great show, but we are the most technically challenged band on the planet. We have literally had video screens fall over on top of us before. Okay,
I think-
we are the PRL of
but
podcasts.
everybody still shows up to watch.
Yeah, because we use funnels in our trousers. That's why.
That's a great.
We are the
lead-in too, by the
PRL
way.
of podcasts. So it's
No,
embarrassing, but it's fun at the same time.
Absolutely, you make the most of it. Mark, we were told would be a terrific guest when it comes in to talk about and maybe challenge, and because we're always talking about all opinions are welcome, and there'll be some opinions from Mark that are different than, let's say, maybe Eric's or from a lot of our listeners. When you go through that standpoint,
So I got to tell you,
we can tell you that the issues we had, these were not on us, Eric. These are not on us.
I'll take your word.
These
for it.
were on Mark and this computer,
Yeah.
his Wi-Fi. That I can. That
You know,
I can.
if we were a
attest
bunch
to.
of 13-year-olds talking about skateboards doing a podcast, it would work seamlessly.
Probably so.
it would be just get up and do it.
But it
And-
is interesting because one of the major topics that gets you when we talk about this, and we talked to a teacher because we spoke about an unfortunate incident that happened in the St. Louis area where a middle school teacher and a student were fighting. Another big, and it was caught on video, Riverview Gardens. Then we also have video, where, and he's telling us that he's on now. Mike, he says he's on. So
Mike, get him on. Come on.
Mike. Also,
Mike.
artificial intelligence. He says he sees the camera, Mike. So
He
I'm just
sees
letting
the
you know.
camera, Mike.
Anyway, artificial intelligence now maybe taking the place of teachers and or kids even learning. And then we have a chance to talk with
So I downloaded while we're getting him on. Don't tell him I told you this. I downloaded a PDF on how to talk to a difficult liberal.
Oh gosh. I have a feeling he's not difficult or he wouldn't be here.
He says he doesn't hear us, buddy. So if you could text him, and I don't know if you need to help troubleshoot him through the issues. We do know it's on his side. Maybe it's the laptop and the cell service that he's getting inside Cardinal Ritter Prep this
Come on,
morning.
Cardinal
They
Ritter.
probably know he's talking to us. They're like, nope,
Yeah.
not those crazy people.
Well,
over there.
Tashara has a button that she can stop all the talk.
Can you
via
just,
her
is there
little-
anything you can tell us about him while we're waiting that we don't already know?
I just told you what I know.
Okay, so you don't. Okay, I thought maybe you knew.
What else
more.
did you want to know?
I don't know.
Well, he likes long walks on the beach. He likes to read a book
Pina
every
coladas?
morning.
Yeah.
Um,
He seems personable.
No,
he
we-
seems personable.
yeah.
But
He does.
we've only talked in 2 sentences.
He's back.
Mark, thank you for joining us back. We're glad that you were able to work through those technical issues. Hey, thank you for joining us for Cancel This with Eric Johnson, Vic Faust, and Tabitha Hassel. We're jumping in right now. I know you're busy. You're in a class.
You're in a class right now.
Yeah, look, he's got his class behind him.
Yeah, I got students here and everything. So
Yes, he is going to help
All
teach
right.
the students.
What do you teach? What is your curriculum exactly, Mark?
well, if you talk to Jamie, he'll explain to you that I indoctrinate them into liberal government idea.
I love you,
You can't
already.
start off with sarcasm. He's like, I'm not being sarcastic.
No, what are you talking about?
You are. Well, you don't really indoctrinate people. You don't wake up in the morning going, I'm getting ready to go over there and indoctrinate some kids. What should I do today? So you don't really do that, right?
Well, I
Just
guess
say-
I
just say
really
no.
don't have to, because
Yeah.
this is a black school.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I mean, do you know Cardinal Ritter? Are
I
you
do.
familiar?
Yes, absolutely.
Cardinal Ritter
so-
is a terrific school.
Yes.
Terrific
And
school.
congrats on the latest state football championship to those young men.
There
who
you go.
Busted their butt all year to win that.
There you go. So some really great young people. And so they understand the problem in America. And actually, this is a school where I wouldn't be fired, because most white schools would have to fire me.
Why? Why do you say that? Why would
Well,
a white school have to fire you?
Because we believe, or certainly I believe, that the country is essentially racist, that white people don't know how to behave themselves. And so,
Are you
we've got
racist?
hundreds.
You're a white person. Are you racist?
Well, of course not.
Well, see, then that's a that is a fallacy. Then not all white people are racist. If you're not, it's kind of like doing calculus. If you're not, then there's a chance that there's other people that aren't, right?
Well, I didn't say that all white people are racist. In fact, let me put it to you this way. I'm guessing that you guys probably know who Onion Horton was, right?
I do not. I'm
I do
sorry.
not.
I cannot claim I do. Vic might.
Oh,
Where-
okay. Well, and it just shows how historical memory disappears so quickly. Onion Horton was one of the most famous black broadcasters in the history of St. Louis, and certainly in the black community, everybody knows Onion knew him very well. He died a number of years ago. He was my radio partner for 25 years before I hooked up with Jamie Allman.
Okay.
And actually, Jamie used to come on the air with me and Onion when we did our programs on various stations. But the bottom line to what I want to tell you is, I mean, Onion used to always say, people used to say, hey, Onion, have you ever noticed that Mark is white? And Onion used to say, I love white people as long as they're like William O. Douglas or William Brennan or any of these Supreme Court justices who say that a black person gets to eat a hamburger.
Yeah. So are you liberal because of the racial divide in this country? What makes you a liberal per se? Because we've had people like Jane Duker on this show, and she seems exceptionally conservative
Yes.
on a lot of issues.
Do you know who Jane Duker is, first of all?
Oh, very well.
Okay.
For our listeners around the country, Jane Duker ran for St. Louis County Executive. She's an attorney and a lobbyist as well.
Yeah,
and a self-proclaimed Democrat, but not a progressive.
Exactly. And Mike Kelly has come on this show, and you can literally back him into a bunch of conservative corners. And he goes, yeah, I guess you're right.
Another political pundit in the St. Louis area.
Exactly. So is your liberal cause of choice race relationships in St. Louis or the country? Is that what makes you a liberal?
Okay, so the answer is that, and I'm sorry you got a little noise in the
I love
background
it.
here
It's
for a
like being
second.
back in school.
Yeah.
It is.
But the answer is, it's not just race, but certainly it is race. I guess I started off, it was race and it was anti-Vietnam War. So since we finally ended the war a couple of minutes ago, I guess that certainly race is a big part of the issue, because the country is divided very significantly by race. But it's more than that. I mean, I believe in an active government. In fact, I believe the government is excellent, does a phenomenal job, and should continue to be in everybody's life where it belongs.
Does the government do a good job taking out the trash in St. Louis City? Does the government do a good job policing high crime areas? Does the government do a good job handing out welfare checks to kids that should be actually trying to get a job?
Hold on a second. You're throwing all those things out.
It was a blanket statement. One solid no will be okay, because they don't.
Well, no, they do.
No,
They do.
don't.
No, well,
we
they
have
don't. They may
every-
not pick up the trash. That's a different. The trash. The trash is a different story. But you know, when you start talking about various programs, the problem with these programs is that the progressives in this country want to do the right thing to help people, and Republican conservatives do everything they can to wreck all of these programs so that they can then say, oh, these programs don't work. Well, of course they don't work if you wreck them.
I want to tell you a story.
I've got a question from the question line with Eric too. Did Trump's government work?
Well, of course not. Trump's government was a criminal activity, a criminal enterprise for which he will soon find himself in jail.
You just hate Trump, and there's a lot of people.
No,
that do.
I don't
Trust
hate
me.
him.
No, you do. It's okay.
No,
He's
he
the
just needs
poster
to be in
child for
jail.
conservatism. He's the poster child for that. But I digress. That's not even.
No,
important.
no.
Can I ask a question?
But
You've
wait a
asked like
second.
4
But remember
questions.
this: Trump
I've gotta get
hates
something
you.
in.
Remember
Trump-
that Trump hates you.
Trump doesn't hate us. Hey, Mark, I want to ask you a question here. How do you teach Black children differently than you would teach white children?
Is that CRT or
No difference at all. Though I happen to
Good
be
question.
a CRT expert.
I
Okay.
imagined you were.
No, I am.
So do you teach the 1619 project?
Of course.
Please come to the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
See, the problem is that 99% of the people that you don't think are doing the right thing when it comes to CRT, number one, they're not teaching CRT. And number two, if you ask them to teach it, they wouldn't even know what it is.
No, we've intercepted a lot of weird CRT stuff on this show from the school district of Wentzville, from Parkway Central, from Rockwood. You're telling me there's CRT there. It is a lesson. See, the
But what exactly? We've
Mark,
never really found out what CRT
Right.
Well, and
is.
he's
Well, we
not-
can
yeah.
find out, but here's the problem, Mark. No matter what CRT is, we are 30th in the world as far as our education goes. We are literally testing lower than third world countries right now. Would you not agree that if you guys just got back to the basics of like math, English, whatever it is, can't we just all agree? It's time to get our education system back up to number one in the world, or at least attempt to do that.
Well, first of all, our universities are. And secondly, stop testing, because those tests are
No.
complete
Testing is
waste
how I
of
got my
time.
pilot's license. I'm not sure that I would want to fly with myself if I didn't test into being a pilot. I think testing is the way to determine if a kid is getting through the system properly or not.
Well, we have no child left behind, so it doesn't really matter anymore.
I mean, can we agree on that testing to make sure that these kids are getting the proper education to take them to that secondary level of schooling is actually a good thing?
Complete waste of time.
Wow. No, you can't say
In
that.
fact,
I'm sorry, to the
it actually hurts the kids.
No.
In fact, that's the reason that you've got a problem with education, is exactly what you're talking about, this testing. In fact, here I am. I'm at Cardinal Ritter College Prep. We don't do that testing. None of it. None of it at all.
Don't you
And the
think
kids,
that
and we have 100% of our kids go to college.
okay, that's
I
cool.
was just-
No,
that's
they
exactly
do.
what I was going to ask.
I mean, Cardinal Ritter. You cannot go after what the kids have done there and what the administration has done with their kids going to colleges and doing well from an academic standpoint, which makes the debate interesting from that standpoint. But that has nothing to do with what CRT is and isn't.
Okay, good.
Oh,
or
nothing
should
to
be.
do.
Touch upon that, Vic. Touch upon that, because I would like to know what you're thinking right now.
Well, I'm just curious. I first of all, I want to know what Mark says CRT is, what kids are teaching, and why other school districts need to be teaching this. Because if we're going to educate ourselves and agree or disagree, we have to know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Absolutely. Very good point. CRT is a framework for asking questions about social relationships in the United States, including certainly race, but really focusing on oppression of all people. But unfortunately, in the United States, race is the number one oppression. But there's no question that it involves more than just race. It does, but it's a way of asking questions in order to understand oppression in our society.
Do you have any white kids in your classes?
None.
Okay, none. If a white kid came into your class, do you think they would feel comfortable learning that they are the oppressor to oppressed people?
Yeah, that isn't what I said to you, but I will say this: they would be very comfortable, very comfortable. They would walk out of here very aware of the problems that the country has had, and they'd also know that if they didn't do it, if they're not one of the bad guys, then they don't have anything to feel bad about.
Yeah,
Eric, when you want to move on to another topic too, I think something would tie into
CRT is super important because it is a waste of damn time. Yeah, I think that algebra is getting in the weeds. I think we are losing our music programs. Is something that these kids think about when they actually leave the school. They are now social warriors for this garbage. And I have a lot of African American friends. I lived in Seattle, Washington, professor, and I have a few African American friends that owned huge businesses that I still talk to this day that think that CRT is it's just garbage. It is something that does not need to be in our classrooms, that it does not prepare these kids to become wealthy. It doesn't prepare them to be in society. It actually makes them feel separated from society. And just before we move on to something else, can you just talk to the African Americans that are successful in this world, that have gone there, that have said this is just trash?
Absolutely. Great points. And here's a great answer for you. Back when Jamie and I were on ABC 30, and Jamie was saying all the things that you're saying, and we were talking about how black people are routinely pulled out of cars by police and oppressed and thrown around and beat up and sometimes killed. We disagreed about this, of course, and I said, okay, Jamie, here's what I'm going to do. I'll bring here to the ABC 30 studio, not just black people, I'll bring black police officers who will tell you about how they've been yanked out of cars, beat up, mistreated, oppressed, and so forth. And actually, I did bring a group of police officers, and they all told their stories. But the interesting thing is that, are you familiar? I'm sure you know Judge Jimmy Edwards. You know him?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So Judge Edwards, a good friend of mine, said, be sure to tell Jamie that not only the police officers have been yanked out of cars and beat up and oppressed and mistreated, because they've done it to me too, and I'm a judge. So yeah, black people in this country are incredibly beat up, mistreated, and everything that's done in this country is just wrong when it comes to black people.
So Mark, you're teaching,
but that's not CRT. CRT is a questioning process. Go ahead.
Yeah, but you're teaching your children to be victims, is what it sounds like to me.
No, teaching them to be empowered to fight back against oppression.
But how are these days? Can you give me some examples of what that oppression looks like? Because I don't see widely that we have a lot of oppression that takes place in this country. Okay,
so I understand you don't see it, but you got to remember that you're white.
I agree.
Okay, and let me say, I filled a studio with black police officers who told their story about how they were mistreated in this country. Okay. And as I said at that time when we were on the air, I could have filled the entire studio if I'd have just brought regular black people in. I could have filled the entire studio with people who would have said, "Let me tell my story." So,
but there's a difference between being prejudiced too, Professor, and being racist.
Yeah, I got my own stories, and they're not all glitz and glamour. But I mean, it's I see what you're saying, but it's like, and before we move on to another topic, can we all agree? There's not one person in this studio that wouldn't want to help whatever community. We are dying to help the good people of St. Louis proper to prosper and to lift themselves out of that ridiculous city that is going down the tubes. Okay. I live in St. Charles. It sucks to be you because St. Charles is an amazing place to live. no crime. The schools are pretty good. We're keeping an eye on our schools so that the CRT garbage doesn't make it in. We're trying to make our kids better. I want that for St. Louis City. I want that for your kids. What you're teaching them you got to get away from it. For every nanosecond that you're taking away from teaching them calculus is an abuse. Let's move on. Can we move on? Can we?
I want to clear up something to John. Mark didn't dodge my questions. Eric started talking, so he didn't get to answer my questions. He didn't dodge it. But we've moved on.
Question?
Go ahead. Let me get your question. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me answer. What was the question?
We don't have to go back. I was asking him the difference between being prejudiced and being racist, because there is a big difference.
Okay, that's a good question.
And people were calling out Mark for saying that he's dodging my questions. I'm like,
no, Mark isn't. The cool thing about Mark is he isn't dodging anything. He's a proud liberal. So yeah, go ahead and answer that question.
I'm far more than liberal, guys. So don't call me liberal. Liberal's way too conservative. So okay,
I'll call you comrade.
Damn.
Okay,
Comrade Kaysen.
Yeah, and I mean that respectfully.
And by the way, because for example, you'd probably jump up and down if I say George Soros. You'd probably go nuts, right?
Well, we know about George Soros.
Yeah,
well, no,
made it a
George
point to break down
Soros,
the United States. So
George Soros is a commodity trader. He is a 95-year-old commodity trader who doesn't want to do anything to hurt this country, and actually, neither do I. So I would say I'm a George Soros radical. Radical.
Do you think that the country is evil?
Well, I would hear him finish.
Yeah. Do you think the country's evil? As he's talking about George Soros, do you think that this country's evil and needs to be broken down?
Broken down? No, not broken down.
Well, obviously,
built
he's
up.
A socialist.
No, I'm not a.
How can you be a George Soros fan and not?
George Soros is a commodity trader. He's a capitalist.
He trades corn.
His partner, okay, in trading, is a guy named Jim Rogers, who happens to be very conservative. And the two of them get along terrific and have made billions of dollars together. And they believe in capitalism, which so do I. Socialism doesn't work. That's crazy.
Okay. Well, I don't know what we're talking about then. But
part of that, though, which leads us, as Mark Kaysen was answering Tabitha's question, also gets us back to something that kind of plays in there and indirectly goes out, Eric, as you were wanting to talk about. If you see a problem in today's society and you look, Mark, at major cities around America and you see crime rising and you see the same kind of leadership elected decades after decades after decades, including St. Louis City, why won't St. Louis City look at somebody else? This is something Eric was really wanting to discuss. Why somebody like Tashara Jones would be elected over and over again, and Kim Gardner. Now, I had told Eric, I covered the city politics. I covered these issues, and I told him every election who's going to win and by what, and I'm right every time. Why won't people make changes, or why do you think there doesn't need to be changes?
Well, let's start with crime. Crime goes up and down. And right now, it's not as bad as everybody wants to say. People are convinced that crime is bad because Donald and the rest of his buddies, Youngkin and DeSantis and all these people run around. Oh, crime! This is a Willie Horton program for convincing people in America to vote for white Republicans because Willie Horton's going to come and get you because he's a black man.
Tim Scott says it too. Republican from South Carolina, African-American.
Yeah, a Republican from South Carolina. There's your whole thing. I mean, that if you talk to any of the leading black political people on the left, they will tell you that the crime in this country is not even as bad as it was in the 1990s.
Wow. Come on.
Well, it's not.
Let's have an accurate conversation at least. That is not true at all. The crime is spiking all over the place. Never before have you heard a CEO from Walmart saying we're going to close down Walmarts because of crime. That is happening across the board. Apple is about ready to close stores in certain areas. The Miracle Mile in Chicago, businesses are moving out left and right, not because they don't want to make money, but because they can't sustain being there. So what you just said, and you got to be accurate across the board to have these conversations. It is crazy. Murders are up. Larceny is up. Burglary is up. It's across the board. So
Yeah, like I said to you, Eric,
especially in St. Louis.
Yeah, like I said to you, Eric, crime goes up and down, and we are in an upward cycle. But like I said, not even close to where it was in the 90s. And in fact, and I'm not going to blame Donald Trump for this, but when Donald Trump came into office, crime was at its absolute lowest level. But I'm not blaming him for it, but it did go up during his presidency.
African American employment was also the highest that it had been under Trump as well.
Good point.
No, please don't say that. Black people will say, that's crazy.
Well,
So
correct me if I'm wrong. Well, then correct me, help me, educate me, teacher.
Yeah, Vic is telling the truth. For whatever reason, it might not have been because of Trump, but African American unemployment was very diminished during the Trump administration because all tides raise all boats. That's a theory, right?
The jobs that they had were so horrible that the pay level was so far beneath what white people make, and women likewise are paid at very low rates as well.
I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. I worked as a rat walking around making $7 an hour, only to parlay that into customer service and open an ad agency. So I mean, I think I was
just trying to parlay what I was talking to Mark about regarding you not understanding why St. Louis City residents continue to vote for the same leadership and nothing gets better.
Well, so
true story.
All you're saying is that they're voting for Democrats, and there are good ones and bad ones. Obviously, some of those people that were elected, they're in jail now. They're going to jail. I mean, Louis Reed and John Muhammad and Jeffrey Boyd. I mean, so. Look, there are good people and there are bad people.
They weren't the mayor.
Well, the mayor is a good lady, and
she has no. But let me say,
she hasn't even been around long enough.
This isn't a personal attack at all.
It's not a personal attack.
I know Tashara.
Yes, well, that's a good one. I don't know Tashara, but I happen to be very good friends. I've been friends with Vervis for 30 years.
Yeah, her father is who he's talking about.
Yeah, and let me say, are you familiar with Sharon Tyus?
Yes.
Okay, so Sharon is phenomenal. I'm very good friends with her. She does a great job. She really knows what she's doing. And people in both the black and white community have fought against Sharon, even though Sharon is really excellent. Megan Green is white, of course, and I was very supportive of her. In fact, Jamie and I had her here the week before the election and had a great conversation with her.
She's very
smart lady.
She is very,
and she's
very...
also bringing in universal basic income.
Yeah. Have you ever you're a professor. Have you ever done a thesis on the downfall of East St. Louis? Have you ever looked into how that used to be a sprawling, very urban area back in the 50s and 60s, and it just became a desolate hell? Have you ever, I mean, seriously, that's a serious question.
Well, I'm very familiar with the 1915 hangings and murders of black people in East St. Louis. I know what white people did out there. So, East St. Louis was not a wonderful place to live 100 years ago. It was actual torture. It was horrific. Okay, so that's one point.
But you wouldn't want to drive through East St. Louis on any given Saturday night after midnight, would you? Because the crime is so bad, right? I mean, seriously, let me just being honest. I'm just trying to get that at least. You wouldn't want your mom or your kids driving through East St. Louis on any given night just for the crime, right? We can both agree on that, right?
Let me be honest.
Okay.
I mean, you said let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, if you take James Ingram, do you know who he is?
Yes.
Okay. So James says that East St. Louis is not anything as bad as what people say it is.
I got a story
but-
upon story about East St.
Well-
Louis. So
well,
I'm
wait.
not gonna, it
Wait a
is
second.
horrible.
But I happen to have next to me. I mean, this is the one great thing about your being on with a broadcaster is that I happen to have in my laboratory a gentleman standing next to me who is a black man from East St. Louis.
Yes, and we want to help him just like we
so
want to
hang
help
on.
everybody
So-
else.
Would you like to hear what he tells you about his life in East St. Louis?
Absolutely.
Okay, here you go. So, So this is, we're unfortunately we're on the phone, but that's
fine.
okay.
Hey, we were able to finally get you in with your phone, but
No,
go ahead. Let's rock.
This is a good way to do it.
I
So
love it.
this is Walter Hood, who is a teacher here at Cardinal Ritter, and he lives in East St. Louis. And so let's ask him if East St. Louis is a hellhole.
Okay, go ahead. Walter.
How you all doing today?
Walter,
Hey,
thank
welcome,
you
baby.
so much. We love these conversations. We've been having them for 2 years. We always are talking about crime and how to fix crime and how crime kind of makes everybody feel safe in their community. Tell me about East St. Louis.
And how it
I'm
also affects business
Yeah.
and business opportunities.
Tell me about East St. Louis. Do you feel safe over after hours in East St. Louis? I mean, tell us about crime and maybe I'm completely wrong.
Well, I will tell you from my perspective that, East St. Louis is like any city here in America. Crime is no bigger there than any place in this United States. Do I feel safe? Absolutely. Does crime happen? Unfortunately, it does, but that's everywhere, even here in St. Louis.
Okay. What makes you feel safe in East St. Louis with just the numbers? I mean, there's all kinds of anecdotal stories about East St. Louis kind of having, you don't want to walk alone outside of the casino over there. Sauget, Illinois, Sauget, Illinois is part of East St. Louis in my mind anyway. And then story upon story upon story about police officers directing people who don't live in East St. Louis to other streets. I mean, these are just stories, anecdotal stories. That doesn't even include the data that comes out of that place. And I'm not picking on East St. Louis. I think St. Louis is actually becoming far worse.
It is when it comes to crime rates and breaking down per population, Eric. In North St. Louis, there is absolutely no doubt it has become there. I think Eric's point, Walter, is the fact of what East St. Louis was kind of where it is now when you look at the economic downturn and the crime that used to be there in the 80s and 90s and what sits there.
Right.
All East St. Louis is known for is its high school football team, where kids from all parts of the St. Louis metropolitan area want to come to East St. Louis to play football, not to do anything else. At least that's an image that's out there, whether right or wrong.
Okay. Well, I can honestly say, yes, and they actually just won a football championship recently, but it's more, East St. Louis is more just a football team. You have many, many different people, many famous people who came out of the city who are doctors, who are lawyers, who are educators like myself. And East St. Louis is not just sports. East St. Louis is a city where people grew up, people know the area, know the people, know the community, and they move forward.
What are the positives of East St. Louis? Tell me, give me a reason. If I'm moving from Florida to St. Louis, say, Eric, this is the reason why you want to move to East St. Louis. Give me the pros.
Me personally, just a sense of community, because one thing I will always say is, everyone knows somebody. Either don't know anyone directly, you may know a cousin or a friend, relative, etc. So the sense of community is the biggest thing. Now, when it comes to crime, it has a negative perception, but again, it's just a perception. Perception is reality. So, I can tell you from my experience that, there's not a time where I've never felt safe.
Let me ask you this. If you were the mayor of St. Louis, East St. Louis, North St. Louis, and crime was the one thing that you wanted to tap down so your communities could thrive, what would you do to fix the crime situation in East St. Louis, or North St. Louis?
Well, personally, I can't speak on just crime as a whole, but I can tell you that, law enforcement, they do their jobs, they do the best that they can to make sure that the people are safe. We as a people, we have to make sure that we are a community, to make sure that we can prevent certain crimes from happening, and also teaching people in the community just to be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe, and different protocols just to help you, so you can go home, get home to your families every night.
Okay, so guys, so here's the thing, and Walter's a great teacher and a terrific person, but he's not a crazy person like us. He's not a broadcaster like we all are.
Pull me into your crazy person, Bill. I don't feel like I'm crazy. I feel like I am asking the pragmatic questions on this show. Don't you think I'm asking good questions?
We are. No, I'm saying we're all broadcasters.
Jump in.
Don't you think I'm asking good questions? Like
I think you're asking great questions. I'm going to give you my broadcaster's answer. And I think it's because I've thought about this very thoroughly, and I know the answer to crime in the United States. That we can get rid of crime so effectively. Okay. First of all, stop mistreating inner city schools by withholding resources because the kids are black. That's one. But beyond that. If you make college free for everybody in the United States, which actually, in effect, we did after World War II, and it was one of the most fabulous programs that we ever had, because everybody that came back from the war went to college, and we had one of the greatest growth periods in the history of the United States, and everything was paid for those people.
Yeah. I would love to see college be free, but college tends to be more expensive. You got to be offended by colleges keep bringing their tuition rates up. Correct?
Make it free.
Yeah, well, that's a capitalistic thing inside of a liberal kind of bastion, I guess. It's kind of weird.
I mean, there's a way to do it. First of all, I've already told you we've done this. We did it after World War II. Everybody that came home went to college for free. Everybody. It was a capitalist country. Our growth rate exploded during that period of time. And it was so positive for the country. And the sad thing is that when I say this to people, they say, well, those people fought. Well, so what? It worked. So forget whether they fought or not. We could put everybody in school and crime will go away, because I guarantee you, when people hijack your car, you'll find out none of them are PhDs.
True story.
I would imagine that's a true story. Hey, Mark, I've asked you this twice, and it's not your fault. But I do want you to answer the question.
Sure.
There's a difference between being prejudiced and being racist. And obviously, you're in a predominantly or all black school. How do black people envision racism these days?
Well, first of all, I think we could all probably agree here that racism is an oppression. Okay, it's not just prejudice, as you point out. It's an overall set of behaviors that amount to oppressing an entire group of people. So that's racism, and we have racism that is systemic in our country. It's part of the way we live. When I walk into the courthouse in Clayton, and they see me, a bald Jewish man in a suit, okay, they think I'm the judge. Okay, a black man who might be the judge walks in there and they think it's a criminal. See, so that's the problem. That's systemic racism, and we've got it here. Now, as far as prejudice, we've got that too. Sure.
And it's the St. Louis thing, because when I lived in Seattle, the culture up there was just so different. It was just, St. Louis has got some serious damn challenges. We didn't think of race up there for some reason. It really was. It just never happened.
And we just wanted to get another perspective, and that's what Cancel This is about. We say all opinions are welcome, whether you agree or disagree. You can get on Mark. You can tell him how stupid he is. You can tell him that he has no idea that he's racist as a white man, blah, 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 blah. Or you can hate us for what we're saying, but we got to have the conversations and talk. And that's what we're trying to do. Trying to push the envelope, continue to talk, continue to try to understand everybody else without being afraid of being canceled for what we're saying when it comes to certain issues. Mark, we're grateful you joined us. Obviously, our entire chat line thinks you're insane, that you've
Of
lost it,
course.
that
You're our resident
that you're
liberal.
clueless, that you were the one person who could drive Billy Graham to drinking. This is all probably making you pretty happy. You're going to have a good weekend. We can already tell. But is there one, as you know, I just had another question here. I mean, Tab, there's anything you want to answer or ask right now? I mean, you feel 100% that Democratic leadership is what St. Louis City continues to need, what Chicago needs, what Baltimore needs, when we haven't seen real progress from an economic standpoint?
Okay, so again, I point out what I've already said, which is that the Democrats have great ideas, but Republicans do everything to block those ideas.
They have that much power?
Man, they got no power. Come on.
How do they have that power?
Come on, man.
Well, it's pretty obvious they do have power. They are able and have been able over many years. In fact, they stole 2 Supreme Court seats, so you know they've got power. So
let me ask you this.
Sure.
Can you answer this honestly? I know it's a podcast, but can you answer this honestly? Do you think that DeSantis has done a good job in Florida?
Stop it.
Oh,
you know better. Come on. Why even waste our time
Why
on
would
that?
you say no? That it's economic development. Dade County's flipped from blue to red because DeSantis is doing a good job. The Cuban community, who has always been Democrat their whole life, is flipped for DeSantis. You don't live there, so you don't get to see the good works firsthand. Would you rather live in Orlando, or would you rather live in downtown St. Louis?
By the way, the Cuban community is hysterically, and always has been, hysterically anti-communist because they hate the person that actually is one of the people that I've believed was a great hero from the time that I was a young kid.
Castro?
Fidel Castro and Che Guevara, of course.
You're not going to say Fidel Castro is a hero.
Eric. He just won't.
And Che Guevara.
Look at his country. They're still driving 1967 cars down there. Come on, man.
Because the United States.
You're getting money from George Soros, aren't you?
Yes,
the United States.
George
the United
Soros
States
is in the
blocked
room right now.
Guys,
okay.
You know the United States blocked anything from getting into Cuba for 50 years.
An embargo.
They tried to kill Castro 500 times. So,
nuclear weapons into their little island 90 miles from the border of the United States. Of course they did.
Well, first of all, that was because we were threatening them. And secondly, even the Russians said to Castro, look, you may have a problem with the United States, but we're not going to destroy the planet over it. Okay. But the United States did some very bad things to Castro because the United States turned over Cuba to Castro, took it away from Batista. And then when Castro wouldn't play ball with United Fruit, everybody went nuts.
Okay. I think the lesson's over. Or
my blood pressure just went way up. I need to go take some high blood pressure medicine.
Mark, we disagree on probably, I don't know, 99% of things, but we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah.
But wait, did I convince you on one thing? Did I convince you? Wait a second. Did I convince you that we should send everybody to college so that we can end crime like we did after World War II? Did I convince you of that?
No, because some people don't need college. They could use technical college. They could go on tour with a rock band. Hello.
I think you just want your $100. That's all.
Mark, respectfully, everything you said is exactly what communism is.
Oh, no. Please.
Everything.
Communism is hysterically wrong. Communism could never work. It never has. I teach the kids why it doesn't work, and we all know it doesn't work.
Then he's socialist, and that's fine. Just call it.
No, socialism doesn't work either.
Hey, Mark,
that's what Megan Green is in St. Louis City.
Yeah.
No.
Mark, let me tell you something.
She doesn't believe the government should own the means of production.
I'm going to whisper this to you real fast. Most of the people that are highly successful in this country do not have a college degree. They are entrepreneurs and they have made all their money by ideas and parlaying their knowledge for what they are, what they love. They do not go get social science degrees at whatever your favorite liberal arts college is and make a fortune. They literally go out and do the hard work and they become successful. You need to teach your kids that. And if you don't want to do it, I'll come down there and do it for you.
Mark, Mark responded. We'll let you go.
Okay. The response is that both George Soros and I would agree that everybody should work hard, become great capitalists, learn how to trade securities markets, and they can make enormous amounts of money in finance. I don't have billions like George, but I know certainly I've done very well in my years in the securities markets. And I'm just saying, Soros would tell you that. He is a capitalist, so am I.
Okay. Mark, thank you again. Hey, we can agree to disagree, but we have to have the conversations at the end of the day. So
hey, thank you guys. I'm sure we at least had fun.
Oh,
Yes,
I'll get my bourbon ready next time that we talk.
Yeah, I'll buy you a beer. You look more like a Dubonnet guy, though.
No,
So-
by the way, since we all had fun, did you agree we had fun?
Yeah, we had a
Do I get
blast.
100 for that?
No, this is not an
We'll see.
award. This is a gift. I am giving this $100, and I'll give it to your class.
Tabitha looks like she's going to throw up.
I'll
Mark.
give it-
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It's a
No, I'm
gift,
okay.
it's
We
not
don't
because
need the
she's
100,
good.
but
No,
we
it's
love
fine.
you guys.
Yeah.
You're
It's because
great.
I'm going to come down to Cardinal Ritter and teach the difference between communism
Go,
and
Tab.
capitalism.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I think you guys should come to Cardinal Ritter and sit in on our government classes. We would love to have you.
How
should
not to
actually-
pick up trash.
We could, oh my God. Well, maybe we'll do a live episode of Cancel
We
This
got
there
it.
someday.
We have
There you go.
We-
Okay,
All right.
guys.
Thanks.
Have
Mark.
a great
We'll talk to
day.
you later. Guys, we appreciate you joining us for this podcast with Cancel This. CancelTheShow.com is where you can go for all of our episodes. Live streaming on several platforms as well as we continue to do this. We're just getting started, as you know. You see what we're doing live 3 hours every day. News commentary, politics, society, culture, anything cancel culture related as well. And what do you know? Even some education. I don't even know if that was a debate.
Yeah, it was
That
a
was not a
debate.
debate,
And
no.
for anybody that knows this, I desperately want to give this $100 away. I'm not playing, Vic. I want somebody to come up and say, I want to say, man, this is why you're wrong.
Well,
Eric.
what we
And go,
do-
damn, I feel wrong all of a sudden.
Well, what we do is so cool. We know it's the future of broadcasting right here. We talk about it all the time. We appreciate everybody joining us. And the big reach that we've had in 9 days already? So 9 days already. So
Yeah.
we appreciate it.
This episode brought to you by high blood pressure medicine. There's-
Mike, for producer Mike Wilkerson, Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel,
Yeah.
Vic Faust. Appreciate you joining us. We'll see you next time for Cancel This.